Hanging it. Hello, everybody. It's your big bro, Mikey, coming at you once again today on this, was a gorgeous day for being a Friday. It was still a little chilly because from the wind, but it was still a beautiful day. I'm here with my co-host,
CDH Warrior.
And we are going to bring you, our topic of today is going to be about gaming, like we promised our viewers last time. That we were going to talk about new and old school gaming.
Yeah.
To start us off, I'll let my co-host start us off with his intro and everything else for everyone that's on his channel. I wasn't trying to interrupt him or nothing when I first started mine, but you know how it is when I'm in the camera. When I'm in front of the camera.
Yeah, he just keeps talking. How's it going, everybody? It's the CDH Warrior. And this is our podcast. So, today we're going to be discussing gaming. And new and old school gaming. Because I was kind of in that later edge, that weird midpoint of new and old school gaming. Because I've seen the Sega consoles kind of fall out of production. But I've also seen the new school, like the Xbox and the PlayStation and the Switch and the Wii and the Wii U and some more recent consoles. But to be honest, I haven't gotten to play much of the older
consoles.
Much of the older consoles. I played the last made Sega console, which was the Dreamcast.
I need to see yours is clear. I think mine has to do because we're almost under the light.
Possibly.
But anyway, not to interrupt anything.
Let's see.
See, in my generation, while he's thinking of what he wants to say, that way there's no dead air because because dead air is not good air.
Yeah.
As the old saying is. In my when I was growing up, the very first console ever made was the Atari.
Was the Atari the first one, or was the ColecoVision? The ColecoVision followed shortly after.
It was vice versa. People argue with you about that because it's roughly the same.
There's roughly a year between each of them.
People will say one, while the others will say another. But anyway, I had an Atari with all the games that everybody would love that had came out in the arcades later in the later 80s, like Asteroids, and all the other famous games.
We're commenting about the Atari. The Commodore was also major at that time. Is it not? The Commodore 64?
I think so.
Because I know we have a Commodore in the basement.
In pole position, that was my favorite game right there when it came to racing. Pole position, the first one, not the second one or whatever else that was left there. And the that one where you're in a jungle and you gotta swing from vine to vine. It wasn't Tarzan. It was where you had to jump on the alligator. Some of you might know what I'm talking about.
And if you know what we're talking about, please let us know in the comments.
It's just been ages since I've done played these Atari games.
Oh yeah.
Because I know what the name of it is if I really would think about it, could seriously sit there and think.
Yeah. It's one I recently got more intrigued with some of the newer games because I bought an Xbox One recently. Yes, I'm behind a couple of generations, but
More than a couple.
not really. The one, then the X and the S. Only about 3 years.
See, because you had the Atari, Sega.
Mm-hmm. The Sega was actually a friend's.
The Nintendo. Then the GameCube. And these are all how they came out. Nintendo 64 after the GameCube.
The 64 came after the GameCube?
Yep.
I thought the
Nope.
64 came first.
Everybody it's like the Atari and whatever. You could argue semantics all you want to, but it was roughly around the same era. Not area, but era. But anyway,
yeah.
Even if it was, y'all know. Even if it really was,
either way, it's one or the other, and it was all within like 5 years.
The GameCube and the Atari Sega was.
The GameCube and the
64 were roughly the same year.
Yeah.
Then it went PlayStations.
Yeah, that's when PlayStation and
Microsoft and the Xbox and
the Xbox started coming out.
With the PS1s and the original Xbox and the PS2, then 360 or whatever
PS3
it was.
And the 360 came out about the same time, because that's when Microsoft and Sony started trying to compete with each other. Nintendo was just going to kind of do its own thing and just become the giant it is.
With the Nintendo Wii, but that wasn't until in the 2000s.
Well, you had the Wii.
The Wii.
You had the Game Boy. The Game Boy Advance.
I was talking about just consoles, not handheld stuff.
Okay. Sorry, my mind went to handheld stuff as well.
Which is true. Because if we were going to include handheld stuff too, Game Boy came out, then Sega Genesis for handheld came out.
Yeah.
Then Wii U or whatever.
Yeah, the Wii U came out 5-ish years ago.
Then the whatever the newest handheld one is.
The Switch. Oh boy.
I thought there was another one too, but I could be wrong.
As far as Nintendo, I think it's the Switch was it. Oh. Did the Vita, PlayStation release the Vita more recently?
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm going through. I don't know all the history on PlayStation consoles.
But EA, there's rumors going around. You were thinking about bringing back the NCAA. I hope and pray that you do.
Oh, yeah.
Because I sure miss my college. Even though I'm more of a pro fan in real life. But when it came to gaming, I liked college better.
College gaming. The college game was a lot better. Especially when you got the seasons and the storyline series.
Because I liked it when you could create your own team, your own character.
Oh, yeah.
And
Start from the beginning.
and do a not what we call it franchise in pro, but whatever it is in college.
Yeah.
But I miss my gaming. I miss my sports.
Yeah.
But when I had the Sega's, some of you, I forgot about the Sega Saturn.
The Saturn.
Because it came after Sega Genesis,
Yeah.
or just before.
The Saturn came after the Genesis, and the Saturn. I just realized something. You also had the Sega Pluto that came out.
Because that's
a couple
how.
years
That's
later.
what. Because the Sega Saturn or something like the Sega Genesis or the Saturn introduced Sonic.
The Genesis was Sonic. Because I remember that was Sonic 1 was the Genesis.
Because these are all the consoles I personally owned. Not handheld, just consoles.
Tabletop consoles. Sorry.
I had the Atari, Nintendo, Sega Genesis, the deluxe one where you could play cartridge and CD.
Wow.
And
That was a big deal at that time.
it was given to me by my cousin before he moved away. Let's basically just say I had everything except for the 64 and the GameCube.
That's saying something.
I had all the consoles known to man at that time, except for the Sega Saturn, Nintendo 64, and Dreamcast. Those were the only three I didn't own. Dreamcast tried to make it, but they just couldn't get out of the red zone, as some people would like to say.
Yeah.
Because
the console itself was pretty good.
Nintendo and somebody else they were in too much competition with.
Sony would have been around that time.
Yeah, because they would have had their competition. What it was, PlayStation.
Yeah, and then probably
Xbox.
I was thinking 2003, 2002 was the first generation Xbox.
I had the original Xbox for about probably a month, if that. Probably it was probably more like 2 weeks, maybe 3 the most. I was trying to figure out how to use the controller. I said, screw this, and I gave it away and gave it to somebody, and I went out and bought me a PS2 or a PS1, whichever was out at the time. Because I went out and bought a PS1 because I could not figure out how to do anything, and PlayStation's controller was a whole lot easier to.
Oh yeah.
And some people argue with me about all this. They want to. They said the Xbox was easy. I said,
oh,
maybe to you,
no,
because the little things on the
Let's see. We've got a PlayStation sitting next to us.
See, this right here is a lot easier compared, because Xbox is down here.
I'm just going to remove
This
the
right
control,
here
so.
is the PlayStation spots. Down here, where's the Xbox for these up here? And this is what I was talking about when it got confusing with not the buttons itself,
but the triggers.
The triggers that were on the back hand back here, where my fingers are moving.
Yeah.
But for those who know about Xboxes and stuff like that, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
It's the trigger finger people that like the ones at
the larger ones at the base. Yeah.
But PlayStation was a whole lot easier because you could because when I played Grand
You
Theft
could
Auto,
literally just hold it.
just like this.
Yeah.
Where Xbox you had to hold it like this.
That's actually not very comfortable on your hands.
See how much more comfortable this is right here compared to this?
Yeah.
Because you can sit there for hours. Because see, you can sit there for hours and do that. Where Xbox, you had to do that. That is not that comfortable.
No.
But anywho, I'm going to let my co-host talk for a few minutes and see what he wants to talk about with the Nintendo DS and whatever he wants to talk about.
Yeah, I had one of the first generation DSs before you had the DSi and it's the DS Lite that came out a couple of years after that. But I had one of the early ones. Mine was cobalt blue.
Not the one that had the split screen, but the one before that.
One,
right? Because they had two DSs.
no, mine was split screen, but it was
First
two
one.
separate screens.
The first one was just a
It was a clamshell, or at least the one that I had was a clamshell.
But then they come out with another version that had a split screen.
The 2DS
Yep.
that came out right before the 3 was a split screen. I actually have one of those as well.
And the 3DS was not 3D.
No, it wasn't. It was made so you could have three-dimensional games, but I never figured out that you could do anything different from it than you could with the 2DS.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, but it never went into, I don't think it even hit the whatever yet, production line. 4DS.
I didn't know there was one that was 4.
I don't think it hit the production line yet. And for you people, and for the ones that are out there that are saying you're not gonna do,
Never say never.
because let me backtrack. If you take a look at my videos on my channel at Bro Mikey Studios on YouTube,
Yeah.
I'll break it down. I talked about what was gonna be next every year, and guess what? It came out. I talked about back when PlayStation first came out. Back when the very first PlayStation come out, I told everybody that I knew, PS2's coming out. What happened a year later?
The PS2 came out.
Then after the PS2 hit,
I think there was a couple of years between the 2 and the 3.
after, hang on, you weren't supposed to say them.
Sorry.
But after the PS2 came out, I know you're excited. After the PS2 came out, I told everybody that I worked with, the PS3 is coming out. It might have took a year or two, but guess what happened, folks?
The 3 came out.
Then I told everybody that I worked at before I got the job I got now. I said, how much you want to bet they'll come out with a PS4? And they all looked at me like I was stupid or whatever. And guess what happened 2 to 3 years later?
The PS4 came out.
Then just last year, and this ain't, was it last year? Yeah.
Last year. Yep.
Last year,
November.
in November of last year, I was talking about the PS5. And look what happened.
The PS5 came out.
Nobody believes me when I say these consoles are coming out. Start believing your big bro around here. And I'm going to tell you now. I mean, I could be wrong. But 99.9% of the time, I'm correct. There will be a PS6.
It may take us a couple of years.
It might
But
take 2
it'll
or 3
have
years.
to do with when the novelty of the PS5 wears off.
Nope.
That's going to be the determining factor in that one.
After 2 years to 3 years,
I think it'll be about 3.
the PS6 will drop. Because Sony PlayStation ain't going to let their peeps down.
No.
Either is Microsoft.
They've actually got another... I don't think they'll release anything new for a couple of years.
They're not going to
After
release
they brought
them.
out the X and the S this past year.
They're not going to.
But they'll release it in the next... I'll go ahead and make this prediction. Within the next 5 years, we'll get a new Xbox.
Yep.
With no questions asked. We'll get one in the next 5 years. Because the Xbox One S, or the Xbox X and S came out in 2021. So I'll take a wild guess by 2026. We'll have the next Xbox.
Because, and who knows, virtual reality is starting to get popular.
I think Sony's going to pivot more towards VR than doing another console.
Because if you because they might not come out with a PS6, they might just do a 360 or 380 or wherever you want to put it, and start doing VRs. Because they already got they already got VRs out there.
Yeah, they've got.
They might start doing more games towards that.
Yeah.
Because look at all these look at Vision Quests. If you ever visit Knoxville, Tennessee, in Westtown Mall, there's a virtual reality game place in there.
Yeah.
That's gonna start coming more popular too. You might be able, it might cost an arm and a leg for it to go in your house, but I guarantee you that's where Microsoft and PlayStations and Nintendo and whoever else is going to be big at that time is going to come out. I think they're going to eventually do just like music. What was the very first thing that came out? I know the older generation is going to remember this, but the younger generation is going to look at me and say, "What the f you talking about?"
Records?
Nope. The very first thing that ever came out were 8-tracks.
Oh, the 8-track tapes.
There were only one song per track. Then it came out with records.
Okay.
Some of you younger generations are scratching your heads and saying, "What the f is he talking about?"
I know what an 8-track tape looks like. I hadn't.
Because that was a shizness back in the day, as some people would like to say. Then CDs came out. After no.
Cassettes came out next.
Then after 8-tracks, it was cassette tapes. Then records. Or it could be records, then cassette
Records
tapes.
came out. And then
But anyway,
cassettes.
y'all know what the point is.
Yeah.
Then CDs came out.
And now everything's online, and it's like, wait a minute. I remember having to have a cassette player.
I remember
When I
having
was a
to
kid.
have a CD player, a Discman, a Walkman.
A Sony Walkman.
Yep.
Yep.
Sony don't just have PlayStations. Whatever you see their name on, that's what they own.
Oh yeah.
No joking. So does Magnum Box. I don't know if y'all know. I don't know if y'all.
Magnavox? Yep.
I don't know if you younger generation knows what Magnum Box is. I'm talking younger than you. I know you know what it is.
The 26-year-old that's on the borderline between two generations.
But I'm talking about kids that were born in the 90s, late 90s up to 2000s to now.
The post millennials. Yeah. I guarantee you most of this is going over their head like, wait, you had what? I remember when it was a big deal when you could get digital games.
Yup.
And now people think, oh, why don't you have that on digital? Because it wasn't digital at the time.
We didn't have all the fancy equipment that we do now. We had to come up with our own ideas, our own fun and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
See, kids today are kind of spoiled.
Very much so.
Because when I was growing up, all we had was our imaginations and neighborhood kids to play with. We didn't have all these fancy tools that we have now, like phones and computers. I mean, we had computers because whenever
I should say we had
when Macintosh came out, but the point.
the first, yeah,
But,
Macintosh computer.
But what I'm mainly talking about is, you know how they got all these tablets, and if you want your kids to behave and quiet, just sit them in front of the TV or computer or
Hand them a tablet or the
tablet or
phone,
phone.
or yeah.
we didn't have all that back
Mm-mm.
back in the early '90s and stuff. You know what our fun time was? Staring out the car window on a road trip,
Yep.
watching the telephone poles. How did you survive back then? I don't know. Let me ask my 17 brothers and sisters.
Oh boy, that joke.
What
My
did you-
parents asked what my parents did for fun.
I don't know. Let me
My
ask.
17 brothers and sisters had no idea either. Well, we know what they were doing.
Because see, if we want to have fun, we went outside. But on a serious note, though, if we wanted to have fun, we went outside and played with friends.
Yeah.
If we wanted to have fun, we went outside, played with our our puppies, our dogs. If we wanted to have fun, we used our imaginations. If we wanted to have fun, we went to play on our swing sets. If we wanted to have fun, so on and so forth. I'm not gonna go into because I could drag this out for
Yeah.
the rest of the video. Because when I was growing up, we didn't have jack shit. Because I'm an '80s baby, and we didn't have jack shit.
There's 15 years between the two of us, so. I definitely grew up in the generation that profited off of what you all figured out.
Yep. See, y'all are profit from what he said off of what we struggled to make a reality. And now, I mean, not to get off the subject of gaming and all that, but, and now, see, you don't never know what we're going to talk about in these broadcasts.
I am.
It could be one thing or another. Because if you jump on a subject and
We'll just wander through them.
and just say what's on our mind.
I think, for me, one of the more interesting things with gaming in more recent years is where we've gone to the new, quote unquote, new open world themes.
Yeah.
That's messing with me because I remember when you had to have a map and you had to download the map to deal with the game.
That or sit there and wait for about 2 minutes for it to upload.
Yeah.
For the next scene, where you can just like that, where games upload just like that.
I actually appreciate. I play Breath of the Wild, and I have to think about the fact that suddenly there are trees in front of me, and it's like that would not have been done even 5 years ago. Let's forget 10.
Yeah.
Even 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been something thought about.
Yo. Who remembers the very first cell phone that came out? And I'm not talking about what they had movies. They created those just for the movie props and stuff. I'm not talking about the cell phones you saw in movies back before cell phones were even invented. Because look at 007, he had a cell phone and all that. This was back when car phones were still popular. But the very first cell phone that ever came out was in 2000.
2000?
Or 2001. And it was Cricket with a big fat ass battery on the back.
I was thinking it had to be a Cricket.
You know, a lot of people.
It was an enormous phone.
And there was only one game, and that was a snake game.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, especially your drug dealers back then, snatching them phones up. And a lot of you people, a lot of your people that not now, but a lot of your people back, when after about a year or two after that Cricket phone came out, started calling them cop busters because they were so easy for cops to hack. Because they weren't secured like they are now.
Everything has some kind of authentication. 2-factor authentication, 1-factor verification, things like that.
And there was no such thing as smartphone until Verizon came around.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want. Verizon, then US Cellular, US Engler, T-Mobile came after Verizon.
It was definitely Verizon because my dad had a Verizon
My
phone
dad
for his work, and that
My
would have been
dad
2008,
Yep.
2009 when the first smartphone came out.
Yep.
Before the iPhone. Was that before the iPhone?
I think iPhone and I think Android and iPhone came out roughly around the same time. Because back then you had to use that stupid iTunes card to do anything with the iPhones. Even if you did.
That one.
Even
Yeah.
if you did have to, you got it through a provider or not. Then they made the iPhone where you don't have to have the iTunes card. And a lot of you can argue with me about that all you want to. But my niece, it surely is amazing that she can listen to music, watch movies, and everything on her iPhone and not even use that iTunes card or Apple Pay card or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta have one of these $25 to $100. No, you don't. No, you don't. And I know for a fact you don't. But anyway, I'm more of an Android person because Androids are a lot. You don't have a one button to do it that does it all like iPhones.
Yeah.
And they're a lot easier to jailbreak than iPhones. There are lots. Android is more capable of doing more things than iPhones.
Yeah.
Yeah, iPhones might have the Apple Watches and all the fancy gadgets, but I don't want none of that crap.
I don't want 5 different devices that'll tell me to do the same thing.
Exactly. So what if you can be like 007 and talk with your watch? Who cares? I don't care about that crap.
I think it's hilarious to watch people text through their watch, because we have several at work that you're watching them and they'll read something on their watch and then start talking to their arm, and it's like, wait, what are you doing? Yeah.
And who remembers when the first Bluetooth came out? How funny that was. You thought, I'm being serious here. I mean, you're all going to laugh at this, but when Bluetooth first came out...
How many people were there that thought somebody was talking to themselves?
That's what I was about to say.
And then they just pointed at their ear. Even now, I see people with Bluetooth, and it's these invisible headsets.
Some of them look like hearing aids.
And you start answering them, and it's like, oh, I'm on the phone. And it's like, oh, that's nice to know.
Some of your Bluetooths are starting to look like hearing aids.
Definitely.
Because you can look them up on Amazon. But technology just we're too far ahead of our time for technology, because they got things out there that are just sitting out there that they haven't even brought out yet.
Oh yeah.
And you know they do.
I'm just thinking about this. You comment about that. I have the image. I don't know how many anime people there are, but does anyone remember the show Sword Art Online?
There's millions of anime lovers out there. You ever see Comic-Con? Oh
yeah.
My God, out in California.
But,
wall-to-wall people. I wouldn't mind going to one, actually.
One of the first things in Sword Art Online is the VR headsets.
Yeah.
And that was in 2010 when that show was made. And here we are in 2020, and we have VR gaming centers.
Yup.
So the technology is there.
It's there and gone and got the t-shirt. We're just slowly catching up to it.
Yeah.
Because technically, I just like your camera. Do whatever.
Yeah, I think my camera glitched, but we'll deal with that.
But I saw a thing on YouTube. They do have flying cars already.
They have hovering cars. Do they have flying cars?
That's what they consider flying.
That's what they consider flying. I know they have the hovercrafts.
Even though it's just hovering just a few inches off the ground, they still consider it flying. But before they bring it out to the public, they brought the self-driving cars out first, and that's what Tesla is about, self-driving. How many people out there really truly would trust a car that drives by itself? Because
I've seen the accidents.
I've seen accidents on YouTube. It don't detect nothing unless you're that close.
Yeah.
Then it's too late. The sensors are that they need to be more out here from the car. Enough room for it to
actually apply the brake or turn out of the way.
But not like bumper to bumper type whatever.
Yeah.
But EA needs to reason why EA, and a lot of you might not remember, and a lot of you don't even know, reason why EA did stop doing the college games is because there was 2 college students that got mad and said that we weren't getting paid for this.
They were getting mad about the fact that their likeness was being used without being compensated.
And you know what I said after I heard that? I said, you get to go to school for free.
Most of them are on scholarship.
Yeah. Basically free.
Yeah.
Scholarship or not. Because they're a highly tuned athlete. They get to go to college or whatever for free. So I would not be complaining about their likeness or not getting paid or any of that crap. Because hell, if I got to go to school for free, do you think I would complain?
No.
I said, go ahead. I would say, go ahead. Hell, if you want to, you can go right down to the final detail. I don't care if you use me. But EA really does need to come out with, and y'all can catch that on my, because I made a video about that on my channel too. EA Sports. Bring back the, well, that's not what it's called. It's called EA Sports something. But yes, you need to bring back the college football.
Yeah.
And how many of you, we might not see any more John Madden games. We may or may not. May him rest in peace.
Yeah.
Because John Madden has passed away recently. Well, not too recently, but at the beginning of in the last year, the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
DMX passed away. May him rest in peace. I wanted to do a dedication video, but I didn't. I couldn't find anything that was. I couldn't. I mean, I really wanted to do a dedication video to DMX, but I just could not find the right words to say. I could not find. Because I was going to do a rap video.
Yeah.
Dedicated to DMX. But I just could not find the right way to say it or sing it without offending some people. Because of the way I was going to do it. So a lot of people I would have got a lot of hatred for. But don't get me wrong. DMX was one of my favorite rappers. And also, too, rest in peace with Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Him and a few other people who was in the helicopter crash. Those are all the people that, celebrities. Oh, and rest in peace to Betty White. She lived to be 100 years old. 99 to 100 years old.
Yeah.
And she looked good for her age.
Oh, yeah.
She was one of the oldest cast members on Golden Girls. If not the oldest.
Yeah.
And did you know in other TV shows, a lot of you were tricked in food? Take Mama's Family, for example. The woman that played Mama wasn't as old as everybody thought she was. she was technically the youngest actress on that show.
I can see that.
The only reason why she looked old was because the wig, the clothes she wore, and the way she portrayed her as, and the way she had to walk. So don't let these TV shows fool you, because I have people out there saying, "Oh, that's not the same." Yes, it is. Because do you not know? Okay, take him for example. If he did a TV show, you might recognize him in one show, but not recognize him in another. You know why? They could have him wear contacts, or change his hair color,
Yeah.
or make him walk a certain way, talk a certain way, straighten his hair out, change the color of the hair, and you would not, unless you knew exactly who he was, you would not recognize him.
Yeah.
So be careful on saying, "Oh, that's not the same person." And
It very well may be.
It very well may be, because I tell my family, that's what's his name, or that's what's her name, and they look at him and say, "No, that's not." Yes, it is. Listen to the voice. Just because it don't look like somebody, remember, like my mom always said, names and faces change, but people will never change. Because if they have a major role in a certain movie, you know they're gonna have to add. You know they're gonna have to add a little bit of weight to them if they were playing like something in Christmas, like a Christmas movie, or trying to represent Santa.
Yeah.
They might use a fat suit. You never know. You know
what they'll add. Yeah.
Just like what's that one cartoon? No, not cartoon. A lot of you will know this. I didn't know it until I did research on this. So I got proof on my background what I'm about to say, because I did research. For all you Star Trek fans, the Next Generation, who out there remembers Alexandra, Worf's son? Anybody out there know?
No. Granted, I wasn't that big into Star Trek, so.
Did you know he was played by a white boy? Look it up if you don't believe me.
Okay.
I'm serious. I'm 100% dead serious. He was played by a white boy. It's all that makeup and costume and
all the extra prosthetics and whatnot that they had.
yup.
Yep. What did it do? I lost my train of thought. It's when we had gone to the subject of gaming earlier, and I want to circle back on something that I saw that I don't know how they're actually going to make it work. Where they're doing all these infinite games, like Halo and Assassin's Creed and everything else, how exactly is that going to work? Are they going to do a completely open world? More like what they have with Genshin Impact?
That's what the Syndicate and all that was. It just glitched again. That's what Syndicate and all that was. Open world.
Yeah.
And Unity for Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna have to go find another camera because I think you got 2 or 3 videos that you're gonna have to try to glue together.
We'll find out later.
But anyway, I'm running out of things to talk about, and we're about at that time.
Yeah. I don't know. One thing to touch on before we get off is I recently found all of what was it? I found all of Halo up until this newest game for Xbox recently.
Which Halo? Because
All of them.
Halo was a good game.
Oh yeah.
So was Resident Evil.
I have all but the most recent one. Is that Resident Evil Village?
Yep.
Is the new one?
Yep.
That's the only one I don't have right now.
8 kind of creeped me out.
We're going to start
At
with
first.
1.
At first, it kind of creeped me out until I got to see more of the gameplay. Because the way it starts out, it starts out kind of...
It starts out weird?
Yeah. It don't look like a Resident Evil game the way it starts out. Until you get more into it.
Resident Evil 1 doesn't look like a Resident Evil game. Okay. Now I'm even more intrigued to play this one.
Not 1, it's the 8.
Oh, 8?
Yeah.
Okay, the newest one.
Resident Evil 8 is creepy at the beginning. I mean, not really creepy, but it didn't look like a Resident Evil game at first.
Yeah.
It looked like more like a horror game, which Resident Evil kind of is in a way, but...
It kind of is, but it's more of a psychological horror.
It was based off a movie. Well, at least the first 5 were.
Yeah.
Then they just
did away with the whole thing and started adding new... started creating their own storyline.
There's another game I did not get into, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have known how to play it or nothing, which was one of them Jigsaw games. You know, like they were based them off the movie Saw.
Yeah.
The games that were from Saw. I didn't get into those either, so I just couldn't figure out how to play them. It's not that I didn't want to play them; I just didn't know figure out how to.
Yeah, that's why. I was trying to remember the other thing that I found for.
Sometimes we know, baby.
What was the other thing that I found? I'm sorry, I go through and find games at the used bookstores.
We and you need to go to McKay's together and just browse.
Oh yeah.
You know it would be a game. But I know they probably won't make it.
What?
The Final Destination.
Oh. Yeah.
That'd be one heck of a game. And I'm not talking about a simulator type game or whatever. I'm talking about an actual PlayStation, Xbox, or a computer game where you literally have to walk on a plane or drive a car or whatever it is and go through all the crap, trying to survive, keep everybody alive.
Yeah.
That'd be one heck of a game right there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it don't have to be just like the movie where they do the impressions first, but a name would pop up and it says, "You must find this person by this time, before time runs out."
Yeah.
That would make it more interesting if they made it into a virtual reality. And watching there and standing there and watch everybody act like they're running. Hang on! I'm coming! Hang on! I'm coming! You know like how that song goes?
Yeah. If I ever think of what the game series was I had just bought, I'll post it in the description of the video. Or in the comments of the video. When we post that.
Was it the one where that whatever turn where was it that one that you just bought? That the whatever animal that was turned mutated into something?
No, it wasn't Biomutant. Although that is a good game. I've been playing it in my spare time. I still cannot for the life of me think of what I just... And I literally just bought it yesterday. I bought the whole series yesterday. I'll think of it after the video is over, and then I'll post it with the video.
Or you'll think about it when you jump in the car to go home.
Yeah. But anyway, we've almost gotten through our hour.
Yep. Well, what kind of games would you like to see? And it doesn't matter if it's VR, handheld, console, computer. What games would you wouldn't mind seeing? Well, no. Let me rephrase this. What games would you not mind to see come to? Did that just cut off?
Yeah.
Shit. Well, I guess that's the end of the broadcast.
Apparently.
Okay. So that's only 58 minutes long.
Yeah.
I guess after 58 minutes we can't do it. Which ain't bad.
We wouldn't normally do an hour-long video. Normally, anyway. But anyway, we will be signing off, and we want to pick this conversation up next week, or at least touch back on it next week.
Yep. So stay tuned for the same bat time, same bat channel.
Part 2 of our discussion on gaming. Have a great day.